Hello, good afternoon. My name's Daniel. I'm a student of psychology, and I'm 21 years old right now, at this moment. So, what I want you to imagine is that the amount of times that I've heard, "You're so young and you're going to talk about loneliness?" What's with that? And what I want you to understand throughout this entire presentation, it's that it occurs in almost any stage of your life, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more throughout the presentation. So without any further ado, let's start with a little bit of a personal background. So this is me. Which one is it? Yeah, it's the one on the left, by the way, with the weird teeth. So when I was young, I really got into any sort of activities, okay? I went to carnival with my sister and the family. That's my sister, by the way. I know she's in there, so I'm sorry. I played out with a lot of friends. I had a group of friends in my school, and mostly I had a friend group at my swimming class. I was a competitive swimmer throughout most of my childhood. But at one point, I got really injured in both of my shoulders, and I had to stop swimming. And so, obviously, without swimming, my friend group at the swimming group didn't really remain friends with me for a large period of time, so I just went to school. By the way, new school. I went to high school. And I really didn't get involved much with the people at my high school. I also didn't really get involved with anyone outside my house, so I just stayed at home playing video games. I started playing a lot of video games, almost getting addicted if I didn't really get addicted to it. And yeah, by staying alone for so long, I think I kind of developed loneliness, if that can be a condition. So that was basically my experience with loneliness. But what does loneliness mean? What does it mean being lonely? So I have this quote from Andreas Cope that pretty much says, being alone is a state of being, while loneliness is a state of mind. And this can translate into being alone can just be a consequence of a momentary set of actions, while being lonely, it's stretching that set of actions through a long period of time at the point where you just cannot stay happy with the quantity and the quality of your social interactions. So I brought a little exercise, nothing much. You don't even have to answer if you don't want to, but I want to test your knowledge about loneliness, okay? So, I'm walking alone to work. Do you think this is being lonely? No, of course not. You're just walking to work, okay? So, a friend of mine just died. I need some alone time. Do you think that's being lonely? No, that's grief. Okay, very well. I have a day off from work. I'll stay at home playing Xbox. Do you think that's being lonely? No, that's my Monday, okay? So, I went to a party full of people, but felt like I was alone even while talking to people that I knew. Do you think that's being lonely? Yes. If you cannot stay happy with the quality and the quantity of your social interactions, that's staying lonely. I hate staying home, but cannot stay happy outside either, just feel alone wherever. No, this is not, of course, this is lonely. Okay? So, why do we feel like we need social interactions most of the time? Well, my guess, evolution, and I have to thank Mr. Darwin for this, because, well, he was the first one to say that we came from primates and from monkeys, if you can call it. And I'm going to give a really bad example, okay? Don't quote me on this, but imagine Tarzan, okay? So, Tarzan was a baby, and still the primates felt like he needed some protection. They felt like he needed to live in their society in a way to continue living, if I can say that. So what that can tell us is primates most of the times would form societies and groups in a way to defend themselves from predators or even gathering food in an easier way. But this was history, okay? Do you think that social events or loneliness is something that that happens nowadays? Do you think it? Do you think it's something that occurs nowadays? Yes. Yes, of course. And I brought some examples. For example, the Pixar movie Up. It's about an old man who lost his wife and just felt like he needed to do something to not staying alone at home. A Netflix original called BoJack Horseman that just basically talks about a horse who was a child actor and lost his job. So he started drinking and using drugs to avoid being lonely. And lastly, a god-awful song by Celine Dion, All By Myself. It's a really bad music, but it's relevant, okay? So, remember what I said? That basically we go through loneliness throughout our entire life? Yeah, I brought you 3 examples. I'll start with loneliness in the youth, okay? So, between the 50s and nowadays, there's a huge shift. I don't know if you know that, but major depression increased about 5 to 8% in the youth, and children between the ages of 15 and 24 have a suicide rate that is the double of what it was in the 50s. What's even scarier is that the suicide rate of children prior to the age of 15 has been 4 times what it was in the 50s. What I think about this is mostly kids just don't play outside these days. They just develop this kind of comfort in staying home, playing games or watching TV or whatever. And that can most of the times lead to loneliness that is directly related to depression. Okay? Now, loneliness in adults. Most of you are adults here, so I'm going to be talking directly at you. Right now, there's a huge focus on careers. There's a huge competitive climate between people and between adults. And most of the times, people just prefer to stay doing overtime over, for example, going for a drink with a friend. For example, the increase of the divorce rates. This is kind of a stretch, but imagine the situation, okay? You just divorced from your wife or your husband, and do you think that you're going to stay with the same group of friends that you had before? Or is the group of friends going to split between the both of you? Because my guess is that it's going to split. Also, again, the amount of indoor activities is going to have an influence on the fact that you're going to stay at home for longer, and you can develop loneliness from staying alone in a large period of time. Lastly, loneliness in the elder. There's around 10 million people right now in Portugal, and 2 million of those are over the age of 65, qualifying for the elder group. 60% of those 2 million people live alone, without any other elder, without any other adult, no family members, and that has a huge impact on their psychological. The mental health just cannot endure such a long period without social interactions. And that's mostly why the elder group, above the age of 65, has the largest rate of suicides recorded in all of the living cycle amongst people, okay? So, right now, this is an actual activity, not like the previous one. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Everyone, just please close your eyes. And raise your hand if you've ever felt lonely at whatever point in your life, okay? I want to see those hands up. Please don't be afraid to do it. Okay, now, without going with your hands down, I want you to open your eyes and look around. Okay. So my guess is you agree with me when I say that at one point in your life you're going to feel lonely. So what I would ask you to do is imagine what is preventing you from just going to another human being and just saying, oh, you're alone sitting there. Can I keep you company? I'm also alone here. What's keeping you from doing that? Because I really don't know. Besides the embarrassment of going and presenting yourself to someone, I really don't see the problem with presenting you to someone. When I went to high school, I really didn't make sure that people knew who I was. And I think that was one of the biggest issues in why I felt so lonely. So when I went to university, I made sure that everyone I came across in the hall, or in the cafeteria, or in the coffee shop, or whatever, I just went there, stretched my hand and said, hey, I'm Daniel. How are you? And nowadays, I can face the fact that I was really lonely. I was bad. But it improved, because I made sure that it improved. If you are a director or a leader in your work environment, what is keeping you from gathering some of your workers and just going, let's go out at least once or twice a month, let's have dinner, let's have lunch, we split the bill, and we just get to know each other? What is keeping you from doing that? We have a really well-known saying here in Portugal that goes like this, and don't worry, non-English speakers, I'm going to translate it. Temos de combinar alguma coisa. So it roughly translates into, we should meet sometime. And we never really get to meet. I'm sorry. It's just a saying, it's like bless you. You're not really going to bless him. So why are we just saying things but not doing them? That is the main point that I want to get across here. It's why don't we just change our behavior towards not feeling so lonely ourselves, but also making others feel less lonely? Okay? Thank you.